What if the ocean's deepest secret wasn't buried treasure or lost civilizations, but three loyal souls left to perish in a floating coffin, their eyes holding a truth that could topple empires? Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, hit subscribe so you'll never miss the most courageous dog tales we share every day. Friends, if you've ever loved a dog, you know that sound. It's the plea of a soul on the edge, begging for mercy in a world that forgot it existed. Ethan leans over the railing, binoculars pressed to his eyes, and his heart drops. Peering through a crack in the corroded doors, he sees them three Labrador retrievers, once the epitome of boundless energy and unwavering loyalty, now reduced to shadows of themselves. Their golden fur matted and dull ribs, jutting out like cruel accusations' eyes, sunken from days, maybe weeks of starvation and thirst. The stench hits him next, a mix of salt fear and despair that clings to the air like a curse. These aren't wild animals. They're family pets, bred for love, not survival. And leading the pack is Luna, the eldest, her chocolate brown coat faded, but her gaze fierce. She's curled protectively around her two younger siblings, Max and Bella, sharing what little body heat they have left in that sweltering prison. They don't bark or whine anymore. They've given up on hope. Or so it seems. Imagine this. You're out there on the endless blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean, miles from the California coast, where the horizon stretches like an unbreakable promise or a cruel illusion. The year is 2023, and the sun beats down mercilessly on a routine Coast Guard patrol. Waves crash against the hull of the ship, but otherwise it's dead quiet. Too quiet. That's when Captain Ethan Harper, a battle-hardened Navy veteran with scars that run deeper than the sea itself, spots something unnatural bobbing in the distance. A rusted shipping container, weathered and forgotten, drifting like a ghost ship from some nightmare. At first he thinks it's just debris, another piece of junk polluting our oceans. But as the boat edges closer, a faint sound pierces the air. Not the roar of engines or the cry of seagulls. No, it's something heartbreaking, soft, desperate whimpers echoing from inside that metal tomb. Friends, if you've ever loved a dog, you know that sound. It's the plea of a soul on the edge, begging for mercy in a world that forgot it existed. Ethan leans over the railing, binoculars pressed to his eyes, and his heart drops. Peering through a crack in the corroded doors, he sees them three Labrador retrievers, once the epitome of boundless energy and unwavering loyalty, now reduced to shadows of themselves. Their golden fur matted and dull ribs jutting out like cruel accusations' eyes, sunken from days, maybe weeks of starvation and thirst. The stench hits him next, a mix of salt fear and despair that clings to the air like a curse. These aren't wild animals. They're family pets, bred for love, not survival. And leading the pack is Luna, the eldest, her chocolate brown coat faded, but her gaze fierce. She's curled protectively around her two younger siblings, Max and Bella, sharing what little body heat they have left in that sweltering prison. They don't bark or whine anymore. They've given up on hope. Or so it seems. This isn't just a story. It's a wake-up call. One that echoes real horrors happening right now. Think about the 2019 typhoons in the Philippines, where smugglers abandoned crates of dogs on sinking ships to cut losses, leaving them to drown in rising waters. Those pups, much like our Labradors here, were victims of illegal breeding rings, chasing quick profits, treating lives like disposable cargo. The cause: greed, plain and simple operations that prioritize black market dollars over basic welfare, shipping animals across oceans without food, water, or even a fighting chance. And the consequences? Devastating. In the US alone, over 6 million animals enter shelters every year, according to the ASPCA, many from similar abandonments. But out at sea, it's amplified 1,000-fold. No passersby to hear cries, no escape from the isolation. Compare that to everyday pet dumping on city streets. Tragic, yes, but at least there's a slim chance of rescue. Ocean cases, their death sentences wrapped in silence. We make mistakes in these situations all the time, don't we? One big one is underestimating an animal's resilience, assuming they're too far gone, leading to hasty decisions like euthanasia without giving them a shot at recovery. I've seen it in rescue ops volunteers turning away because the odds look grim only to miss out on miracles. But here's the lesson short and sharp. Compassion starts with awareness. Ignoring those distant cries doesn't make them go away. It makes us complicit in silent tragedies. If we all paused to listen just once, we could spark change one act at a time. It motivates me, and I hope it fires you up too, because these stories aren't rare. They're happening as we speak, and you, yes, you listening right now, have the power to be part of the solution. But hold on, because this tale is about to twist in a way that'll grip your soul. As Ethan stares into that container, Luna lifts her head ever so slightly. Her eyes, clouded with exhaustion, lock onto his. It's not fear or aggression staring back, it's recognition. A spark. In that split second, Ethan's world shatters. Memories flood in like a tidal wave. Iraq 2010, his own canine partner, a loyal Labrador named Scout, who took a bullet meant for him during a midnight raid. Scout's final whine, that unbreakable bond severed by war. Ethan had buried him with honors, but the guilt never left. And now, here was Luna, mirroring that same haunted loyalty, as if fate had dragged her across the ocean just for this moment. Was it coincidence? Or something more? His crew urges caution protocol, says report it, wait for backup. But Ethan's pulse races. He can't walk away. Not from her. Not again. That eye contact. It's the hook that pulls him and us deeper into the storm. What happens next will test every ounce of his courage as the waves turn treacherous and hidden dangers lurk below. Stick with me, because the daring rescue is just beginning. And trust me, you won't believe the perils they face. The Pacific roared with a vengeance that day, waves slamming against the Coast Guard cutter, like fists of an angry god. Captain Ethan Harper stood at the helm, his crew's voices crackling through the radio. Urging caution protocol demanded it. But protocol be damned, those whimpers from the rusted container sliced through his soul, each one a desperate plea that echoed the cries of his fallen canine scout from a dusty battlefield in Iraq. Ethan's hands gripped the railing knuckles white as he barked orders. Lower the lifeboat. We're going in now. His crew hesitated, eyes darting to the horizon where dark clouds churned, signaling an incoming squall. But Ethan's gaze was locked on that floating tomb where 3 Labrador retrievers, Luna, Max, and Bella, clung to life by the thinnest thread. Oh, the sheer audacity of his choice. To risk everything for creatures most would write off as lost. This wasn't just bravery. It was a defiant scream against a system that discards the loyal. As the lifeboat hit the water, the ocean turned traitor. Waves surged, rocking the tiny vessel, while Ethan's second-in-command, Lieutenant Ramirez, shouted, "Sir, we've got company." Great whites, circling dorsal fins, sliced through the surface, drawn by the scent of blood from the dog's untreated wounds. Ethan's heart pounded, but fear had no hold on him, not now. He thought of the 2018 Thai cave rescue, where divers risked death to save trapped boys, driven by calculated precision. Unlike those heroes, Ethan had no plan, only instinct. The cause of such maritime abandonments. Greed-fueled smuggling rings collapsing under economic strain, dumping cargo like these Labradors to evade capture. The consequence: lives reduced to statistics. Over 6 million animals enter U.S. shelters yearly per the ASPCA. But at sea, there's no safety net, only oblivion. Common mistakes in rescues like this: rushing blindly, ignoring risks like rogue waves or predators, often dooming both rescuer and rescued. Lesson learned. True heroism lies in calculated risks. Rushing blindly multiplies victims. Ethan steered the lifeboat closer, the container's rusted doors groaning under the weight of secrets. He pried them open, salt-stinging sweat blurring his vision, and what he saw broke him. Luna, the eldest Labrador, lay sprawled across Max and Bella, her chocolate-brown fur patchy, her ribs a cruel map of starvation. Her eyes, though, burned with a fire that refused to die, shielding her siblings like a mother wolf. Max's golden coat was matted with filth, and Bella, the smallest, trembled her tongue dry as sandpaper. The stench of urine and decay was suffocating, yet Luna's faint tail wag, barely a twitch, spoke of impossible hope. Ethan's impulsive dive into the waves wasn't recklessness. It was redemption, incarnate, a man atoning for past losses by clutching at first-licked hope. But then the twist as he reached for Luna. She lunged, teeth grazing his hand in a flash of fear. Pain seared through him, but before he could pull back, she licked the wound, her eyes softening as if to say, "I'm sorry, I'm scared, but I trust you." That moment, fragile as glass, bound them forever. The squall hit hard now, waves tossing the lifeboat like a toy. Ethan lifted Bella first, her frail body, feather-light. Then Max, whose legs buckled under his weight. Luna was last, and as Ethan cradled her, she collapsed, blood seeping from an unseen wound beneath her matted fur. "No, no, no, not you!" Ethan's voice cracked, panic rising. Back on the cutter, the crew's medic Doc Nguyen sprang into action, shouting for fluids and bandages. Ethan's mind raced to real-world parallels, the 2021 Hawaii dolphin rescue, where preparation saved lives, unlike here, where his defiance of orders risked mutiny. "You're throwing your career away, Harper," Ramirez hissed, but Ethan didn't care. Luna's shallow breaths were his only mission. Doc found internal bleeding, likely from brutal handling before abandonment, and began an impromptu surgery on the deck, the ship rolling under storm clouds. Ethan held Luna's paw, whispering, "Stay with me, girl." The crew watched, rifles ready for sharks, as the ocean roared its disapproval. Against all odds, Luna's heart kept beating. Ethan's gamble paid off, but at a cost. His crew's trust wavered, and whispers of insubordination spread. Yet as he looked at the three dogs now wrapped in blankets, dripping life back into them, he knew he'd made the right call. The storm subsided, but a new danger loomed. What had these dogs endured to end up here? And why did Luna's ear bear a faded tattoo, a cryptic mark hinting at a past far darker than mere abandonment? Ethan's journey was just beginning, and the answers would test his courage in ways no ocean storm ever could. Stay with me, because what he uncovers next will leave you speechless. The Oregon countryside stretched out like a quiet promise, its rolling hills and whispering pines cradling Ethan Harper's modest ranch, a sanctuary far from the Pacific's merciless waves. Inside the weathered barn, 3 Labrador retrievers, Luna, Max, and Bella, began their fragile dance with recovery, each step a testament to their stubborn will to live. Ethan knelt beside Luna, the eldest, her chocolate-brown fur slowly regaining its sheen as he hand-fed her small bites of boiled chicken. Her eyes, once clouded with despair, now flickered with cautious trust. But at night, she'd whimper in her sleep, paws twitching as if running from ghosts. Oh, the scars on Luna's body. Mere whispers compared to the wounds on her spirit. How could such cruelty linger in a creature bred for love? Ethan's gentle hand-feeding wasn't just care. It was a silent vow, rebuilding trust, brick by brick, in a world that had shattered it. Days turned to weeks, and the ranch became a haven of small victories. Max, the golden-coated brother, bounded after squirrels, his clumsy leaps stirring laughter from Ethan, who hadn't smiled like that since Iraq. Bella, the smallest, discovered joy in splashing through a creek, her tail wagging like a metronome. But Luna was the anchor, always watchful, her maternal instincts guiding Max and Bella through their fears. Ethan built them a cozy den in the barn, lined with blankets, where Luna would nudge her siblings into a pile for warmth, just as she had in that cursed container. This wasn't just healing, it was rebirth. Yet Ethan's own scars ran deep. Late at night, Luna's cries triggered his PTSD flashes of Scout, his canine partner, bleeding out in a desert ambush. He'd wake sweating, heart racing, only to find Luna's steady gaze grounding him. Their shared trauma wove a bond tighter than words. This slow mending mirrors real-world recoveries. Think of therapy dogs post-9/11 aiding veterans by soothing anxiety with their presence. The cause of animal PTSD, harsh training, or abandonment, like the Vietnam-era Scout dogs left behind, sparking public outcry. Consequences are grim, untreated animals develop lifelong fears. 70% of adopted pets are returned due to behavioral issues per the Humane Society. Humans aren't so different. Soldiers like Ethan struggle with reintegration haunted by memories. A common mistake, rushing recovery. Ignoring therapy for quick fixes which risks aggression or relapse. The lesson is clear. Patience mends what haste breaks. Rushed healing ignores the soul's wounds. Ethan learned this sitting with Luna during storms, her trembling body pressed against his, both finding solace in shared silence. But then a twist that turned peace to dread. One stormy evening, as thunder rattled the barn, Luna bolted under Ethan's bed, her whimpers sharp and frantic. Ethan coaxed her out, heart sinking as he noticed her collar a faded leather strap he'd overlooked. Engraved on it was a tag barely legible SG01 Unseen. His gut churned. This wasn't a pet's ID. It was a code cold and clinical, hinting at a past far darker than stray abandonment. Ethan's mind raced to real cases like microchipped dogs from illegal breeding mills uncovered in 2020, traced to shady operations. He called his neighbor Dr. Clara, a veterinarian with a knack for tough cases. She examined Luna, finding a microchip embedded deep in her shoulder. "This isn't standard," Clara muttered, scanning it. The reader flickered, revealing a partial database entry. Project Silent Guardians. Before they could dig deeper, the screen flashed red. A virus wiped the data, leaving only a chilling warning: access denied. Ethan's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. It was a mystery with teeth. Luna's nightmares, her protective stance over Max and Bella, the tattooed code, every detail screamed of a betrayal buried in shadows. He thought of whistleblower leaks, like the 2018 expose of military animal testing, where dogs were discarded after failed experiments. Was Luna a survivor of something similar? Ethan's gentle care had rebuilt her body. But now, he faced a harder truth. Healing her soul meant uncovering who or what had tried to break it. As he stroked Luna's fur, her eyes locked on his, not with fear, but with a quiet plea: find the truth. The ranch, once a safe haven, now felt like a stage for a brewing storm. What secrets did that microchip hide, and who was watching from the shadows? Stay with me, because the answers will shake you to your core. The Oregon night was thick with unease, the kind that makes the air feel heavier than it should. Ethan Harper sat on his porch, the faint glow of a lantern casting shadows across his ranch. Luna, the chocolate-brown Labrador, lay at his feet, her ears twitching at every rustle in the pines. Max and Bella dozed nearby, but Luna's eyes, those fierce, knowing eyes, never wavered, scanning the darkness like a sentinel. Ethan's fingers traced the cryptic SG01 Unseen tag on her collar, his mind racing. That microchip, that wiped database, that ominous access denied, they weren't accidents. Someone had locked Luna's past in a vault, and now Ethan felt the weight of unseen eyes watching his every move. Betrayal from a brother in arms. The ultimate stab. How dare anyone twist loyalty into a weapon? Ethan's late-night digs into classified files weren't obsession. They were a warrior's quest for truth, unearthing horrors that made his blood run cold. It started with a single email slipped into Ethan's inbox from an untraceable address. No sender, just a grainy satellite photo of a jungle compound in a remote corner of Indonesia, time-stamped 2022. In the image, 3 Labradors, Luna's unmistakable silhouette among them, stood chained to a fence ribs, stark against their fur eyes hollow. Scrawled coordinates on the back pointed to a facility tied to Project Silent Guardians, a name that sent chills down Ethan's spine. He reached out to an old Navy contact, Sarah, a whistleblower who'd exposed Black Ops before. She dug deep, risking her own safety, and confirmed the worst: the facility was run by Apex Defense, a private contractor funded off-the-books training dogs for silent infiltration. Emotionless, fearless, obedient to death. Luna, Max, and Bella were bred for this, but they'd defied the program bonding instead of protecting each other through isolation chambers and electric shocks. Their punishment: a container, a one-way trip to the Pacific's depths. Ethan's fist clenched. This wasn't abandonment. It was execution. The truth hit like a grenade, and it got worse. Sarah uncovered a name, General Victor Kane, Ethan's former mentor from Iraq. The man who'd once pulled him from a burning Humvee, who'd taught him to survive, was the architect of this cruelty. Kane's cold vision dogs as tools not souls had fueled Project Silent Guardians, stripping love to hone instinct. Ethan remembered Kane's words in Kandahar. Emotion is a liability. Cut it out. Now it made sickening sense. Real-world parallels burned in Ethan's mind. Vietnam's scout dogs abandoned post-war sparked outrage when exposed in the 70s. The cause budget cuts and a shift to tech deeming animals expendable. The consequence: a legacy of distrust in military ethics with thousands of dogs left to die. Common mistakes, treating animals as assets, ignoring their sentience, leading to failed programs and public backlash. The lesson was stark. Betrayal breeds resilience, exploiting loyalty invites karmic reckoning. But the shadows grew darker. Late one night, a low hum broke the silence, a drone hovering over the ranch, its red eye blinking in the dark. Luna's growl rumbled first low and fierce, waking Max and Bella. Ethan grabbed his rifle, heart pounding, as his phone buzzed with a text from a burner number. "Return the assets, or we come for them." The message wasn't signed, but Ethan knew Kane's voice behind it. Then came the twist that turned his blood to ice. Sarah, his trusted ally, called in a panic. "They're on to me, Ethan. I wasn't careful enough." Her line went dead, and hours later, a news alert reported her car accident, too convenient to be chance. Was she a double agent, or just another victim Ethan's paranoia spiked? Luna sensed it pressing her nose to his hand, her instincts sharper than any machine. She'd survived that jungle hell. Now, she was his early warning system, her growls cutting through the night like a blade. The stakes escalated. Ethan fortified the ranch motion sensors, reinforced gates, but the real battle was in his mind. Expose Kane, and he'd risk Luna, Max, and Bella. Stay silent, and he'd betray their trust. He thought of the 2018 military testing exposé, where whistleblowers faced death threats but sparked reforms. Kane's program wasn't just history. It was active with new facilities, new dogs, new horrors. Ethan's digging uncovered redacted files. Apex was expanding, discarding failed dogs across oceans. Luna's defiance, her love for her siblings had made her a target, but also a symbol. Ethan whispered to her under the stars, "You survived because you refused to become a monster." But the cost of her survival was closing in. Footprints appeared in the mud near the fence. Another drone buzzed. Luna's ears flicked, her body tense, ready for war. And then the hammer dropped. A second twist. A package arrived, no return address, containing a single photo, Ethan asleep on his porch. Luna at his side, taken from his own property. Scratched on the back. Midnight. Last chance. Kane wasn't just watching. He was inside Ethan's world, twisting the knife of betrayal. Ethan's quest for truth had painted a target on his back, and Luna's too. The ranch, once a sanctuary, was now a battlefield, and the clock was ticking. What would Ethan do? Fight, flee, or sacrifice everything for the dogs who'd chosen him? Stay with me, because the storm is about to break, and the truth will demand a price no one could predict. The Oregon night was a powder keg, the air crackling with the threat of an imminent storm. Ethan Harper crouched behind a reinforced gate on his ranch rifle, steady eyes scanning the shadows where pines whispered secrets. Luna, the chocolate-brown Labrador, stood at his side, her low growl a war drum vibrating through Max and Bella, who flanked her like soldiers. The message scratched on that chilling photo, midnight. Last chance had burned itself into Ethan's mind. General Victor Kane, his former mentor turned betrayer, was coming for the dogs, for Luna, for everything Ethan had sworn to protect. The clock struck midnight, and the first shot rang out, splitting the silence like a thunderclap. In the chaos of gunfire and growls, Luna's stand roared, "We are not tools. We are unbreakable." Ethan's final mercy on Kane wasn't weakness. It was triumph, proving love conquers control in the fiercest battles. The siege began with a scout cloaked in black, moving like a wraith through the fog. Luna sensed him first, her ears pinned back, body low, alerting Ethan with a single glance. She darted forward, a blur of fur and fury, tackling the intruder before he could raise his silenced pistol. Max and Bella followed their movements, synchronized, disarming the man with a playful nip, turned takedown teeth grazing but not breaking skin. Ethan's heart raced. Oh, the sheer power of their unity. These weren't just dogs. They were warriors, forged in betrayal, reclaiming their strength. A second wave hit 3 operatives breaching the fence, but Luna orchestrated the counterattack. She feinted left, drawing one man's fire, while Max barreled into him, sending his weapon skittering. Bella, agile as a shadow, tripped another, her playful energy a deadly distraction. Ethan fired warning shots into the air, shouting, "Stand down!" He didn't want blood, he wanted justice. Then Kane emerged from the darkness, his silhouette unmistakable under the porch light. His rifle hung casually, his voice cold. "You think you've won, Harper? These dogs are mine tools, not pets." Ethan's blood boiled memories of Iraq, flashing Kane's orders that cost Scout's life, his ruthless vision now threatening Luna's pack. "Not anymore," Ethan growled. The final twist hit like a tidal wave. As Kane lunged, Luna leaped not to attack, but to protect Max, who'd taken a graze from a stray bullet. Her massive frame pinned Kane, her snarl fierce, but her bite withheld a mother's mercy, not a weapon's wrath. And then the revelation that broke the night. Luna's flank, heaving from exertion, revealed faint scars from pregnancy. She'd birthed pups after the rescue hidden in the barn, a secret legacy of hope Ethan hadn't known. "You carried life through that hell," Ethan whispered, awe choking his voice. The operatives fled. Kane subdued his rifle, kicked aside. Ethan didn't kill him. He wasn't that man. Instead, he recorded Kane's confession, a desperate rant exposing Apex Defense's global network, discarding dogs in Thailand, Brazil, even the Arctic. Ethan leaked it to journalists, sparking a firestorm. Real-world echoes rang true. The 2022 cosmetics testing ban, driven by public outcry, showed how exposure changes laws. The cause of Apex's cruelty: post-9/11 paranoia, prioritizing security over ethics. The consequence: a fractured trust in military systems with thousands of animals suffering in silence. Common mistakes: treating animals as expendable, ignoring their sentience, leading to failed programs and moral decay. The lesson: love defies control. True bonds outlast any chain. Ethan's victory wasn't just saving Luna. It was dismantling a machine that broke souls. Days later, Ethan knelt beside Luna, her newborn pups, 3 tiny Labradors, nuzzling her in the barn. Max and Bella stood guard, their eyes soft but vigilant. Kane faced trial. Apex's facilities were raided, and Ethan's leaks led to a Senate inquiry mirroring post-Vietnam reforms for military dogs. Luna's gaze met Ethan's, no longer haunted but radiant, a quiet nod of freedom. "You're free, girl," he whispered, tears falling. The ranch became a sanctuary, not just for them, but for others. Ethan founded a rescue network inspired by Luna's defiance. He spoke to crowds sharing their story, urging adoption over abandonment. The world listened, moved by a Labrador who'd outwitted a general. This isn't just Luna's triumph, it's yours. Where are you right now listening to this? Drop your country in the comments and let's build a global pact for kindness. Hit subscribe to join our fight for every abandoned soul. Each click fuels rescues like Ethan's. Share your pet story below. Have you saved a furry friend? Visit local shelters, adopt, volunteer, or donate to groups like the ASPCA. Together, we can rewrite endings, one loyal heart at a time. Stay with us, because the next tale of courage might just change your life.